Well, I'm at my desk because another project has been thought about and has been finished. We did the final cushion for the Hunter 28 cockpit. And this is the curved cushion, so there's a little more to work on when you do this to make sure you don't get it twisting around and out of shape. So enjoy. Last cushion for the Hunter. Well, I still have the back cushion to go behind the curved cushion, but it's just going to be a big long square one. So we probably won't do a video on this, but I just thought this would give you a little more comprehensive look at making another cushion. So here's our cushion for the back of the cockpit. It's got a little curve in the front, straight across the back and at an angle. So I just traced it off of the old foam that we had. Seemed to be pretty good. So what I've done is I've marked my center line, front and back. And the front skirt is one piece, but then on the side it's going to be two pieces. So I went 48 inches for my zipper, 2 foot on each side, and then what's left is 16 inches. And so we'll sew the two skirts together, the front and the two sides, and we'll do the zip. I just thought you might want to see the layout, how I figured it out. That way that kind of makes the corner, because you don't want to guess and not have room for the zipper. So the zipper goes all the way 48 inches. And so we'll go from there. And we'll use this pattern, real important when you're doing curved, because this may be off a little bit, is you do not want to flip from side to side when you're cutting this material. So you want to make sure the top is the top. When you do the bottom, you don't cut it and then flip it over. You want to make sure the left stays to the left and the right stays to the right, or you may end up with a twisted cushion. So we'll see what happens. So here's my skirt for the back where the zipper goes. So this is 2.5 inches, just like the other cushions, because we're going to roll this hem over a 1/2 inch. And that hem will lay over the top of the teeth of the zipper. So by the time you take that away, you should have end up 2 inch and 2 inch, which will be a 4 inch to match the side. So now it's on. Since this is the back one, I can leave the tails long at the ends. I don't have to cut the length exact. I just put the zipper on there and leave 3 or 4 inches hanging out each end, and then I will double measure to make sure my radius is right as far as the length. I should have to have about 1.5 inches sticking out past the zipper on each side. So we'll see how it turns out. So what I'm doing is just rolling this hem over a 1/2 inch and then sew it, not using any basting tape. And that way when you get done, you end up with a 1/2 inch overlap and you got a nice finished edge right there that will be laying over the zipper. So we're going to sew this all the way down, and we'll just keep bending and sewing as we go. Now I thought I'd just show you something. A 1/2 inch right here is our hem, but this is my 1/2 inch because of the needle. And so I just go right along the edge of the presser foot, and so you see I still have the one in here for the piping presser foot. As long as you're not doing zigzag, you can use this presser foot to sew straight. And so we'll just work it all the way down. So here's your shot of the 2 halves. They're now 2 inches each, which makes a total of 4 inches with the nice hem, and then the zipper will go underneath this here. So I've got about 8 inches extra on each side. So I'll just put the zipper in the middle, and then I'll put my skirts around the foam and measure it and then cut it from there. But that's how you do your little zipper pocket. And then the zipper goes underneath that. That'll be nice and clean. So I'll show you 2 other measurements I did. I found center line on the sewing pocket, and then I went back 24 because the zipper is 48. Of course 24 and 24 is 48. So that's where I could start. So I end up with about a 4 inch tail left over, which is fine. So I'm using about 1.5 inches of that. And then to get the zipper to go straight, I measured back 3/4 of an inch. And that's where the edge of the zipper should stop. So I can sew right in there, and then of course I marked it where it starts. Because it's hard to get it straight with that edge. So by marking that, as long as I sew along the back of that line, the zipper should be pretty straight all the way down through. So here we're getting ready to sew it. So there's my line that we're going to follow. We're going to put the zipper right on the edge. And so you can also see where it lines up right here on the presser foot. And the nice thing, of course, about this sewing machine, you can move the needle over to the left. So I don't have it on center, I have it to the left, which will run it right down on that zipper line right there. So it should be nice and pretty when we get done. And so then once you get it sewed on there, you'll see that it's covering half the zipper all the way down. So the zipper gets hid underneath, and we'll do the other half now. It'll be totally enclosed inside there. And that's how it should look. So this is about my fifth one. So it takes a little practice. First couple were a little rough. I figured out a few tricks, especially getting around this handle here. You got to go stop, sink the needle in, and then push the zipper back, and then you can finish sewing. So a couple little things, but Sailrite has everything on their video. Of course, they make it look real easy, but they got a lot of practice. So there's half the zipper pocket. Tell you another thing that's handy is one of these teeth, the sheetrock T-squares. It's nice and heavy, especially when you're doing a little thin strip like this, and that material naturally wants a curve on you. By using this heavier aluminum T-square, you could move the material around and you can get it so it's nice and straight. So now it's nice and even all the way down through, and then we can draw a line, and then we're good to go for sewing. And so here's our zipper done like that. It's all done. Put my foot up there, and then you just clip it shut like that, and she'll lay down nice and pretty. Now what I have to do on this, you can do two things. You can either put a blank behind it just to fill it in. So probably what I'll do is I'll take a piece of material and then we'll just lay that material underneath it. Or I've seen them where they just go over the top of it like that. So I haven't decided. I've seen some where they'll leave it laying over like that. So I don't know what I'll do on that yet. The other one, on the little cushions, it was so close I just left the hole there. It didn't matter. But these may be a little bit longer. So I'm probably going to end up doing a little flap like that on top of it. So we'll see what happens. But there's your zipper. All the way down. And then we go all the way back. And that closes it all up nice and pretty. So we got our front skirt done, our two side skirts. So now I'm going to go ahead and get ready to make the top piece and put the piping around the top piece. Alright, so here's the fun part. Get ready to cut this material. So we got the material down. Now you notice I got the cushion upside down because the bottom underneath here will be the top. So what I do on the inside is I write in for inside. And you could put left over there and right over there. That way when you flip it, you'll have the left on the left, on the right on the right. But as long as you have in on there, you're good. So that's important to do that first. And then you always want to mark the center line. Get a center line going all the way across on the inside. Because when you sew your skirts, you want to start from the center. You want to sew your skirt this way, and then you want to sew your skirt this way. You don't want to ever try to start on a corner, because it won't line up. So if you do everything from center out, if anything happens, even your corners, if they're off, they'll be off the same on both sides, because you started from the center and went sewed both ways. Never sew from the corner and think it's going to line up all the way across. So do center and sew out and then out. And no matter where the seams come out, they will at least match the same all the way around. So inside has to be up when you mark it. So now we're ready to mark it. So I have my center line there and my center line on the cushion. So I line up the back, which is the only really square part, and it even is not quite square. Now you got to remember, as long as you're within 1/8 of an inch, you're going to be fine. Nobody's going to be sniffing it and noticing any difference. And so you just mark it like that. Now on this one, it's going to be the same size as the cushion, so this is going to squeeze down a little bit. You could use a spacer if you wanted to and do a 1/2 inch extra all the way around. So I may do that. I may use this and use that as a guide and go all the way around with this little pencil sharpener. That'll give me my 1/2 inch. That way it won't squeeze too much. So I'm going to try that. I may draw the cushion line and then do the 1/2 inch line and see which one looks the best. So I went ahead and traced the foam, and then I added a 1/2 inch for my reveal. Of course, the other thing is, while this is still square, get your center lines on both ends, because you'll need those when you go to put your panels on. If you don't do them now, it can be a little aggravating to find out where the center cut. Now you'll see I have a little wiggle here. That doesn't matter. When I cut the knife, I'll just flow along it nice and even. Got to remember, you're within 1/8. Nobody's ever going to know the difference, and it'll be beautiful. So here we got it all cut out now. Use that extra 1/2 inch line. With that electric cutting knife, it straightens it up, because now you can flow around those curves nice and easy. So we got that done. So now my next thing to do, just like we did on the cushions, we'll have to put this welting on. And this welting goes on the outside like that. and then we sew it. That way when it rolls over, it'll be nice and finished, and this will end up being on the inside because that's that 1/2 inch allowance, which will disappear to the inside. So that's important. You always got to think about which side to put this on, because it goes on and it flips and gets folded around. So you got to just keep that in mind. So let's go to the sewing machine. Alright, so here where we're at, we got most of our parts made. We got the front skirt, the 2 side skirts that go from here into there. I got the back zipper pouches made, and the top is made. So that's made, that is all done and ready to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and hurt the front skirt to the front of the cushion, going from the center, where we have it marked for center here. Everything will go from the center out and around each way. So we'll get both of those on there, and then I will dry fit it over the foam, and then I will double check the length for my zipper, and then we'll do that part next. And then once all those sections are together, then we'll cut out for the bottom. And I think on the bottom I'll make it the exact size of the foam. That way when we pull it, sew it together, the bottom will roll underneath and you won't see any white. You should see blue just rolling under a little bit. So we're getting close. Alright, so here's a dry fit. Got the side skirt on, the front skirt on. Of course it's going to pull down tight like that. Side skirt, and then our zipper bottom back here. Yes, it zips. And then it zips back. So all we got to do now is put the bottom on, and we'll have it. And there she is. It's all done. Need to set it out in the sunshine a little bit and let it move around a little bit. But she is done. Final cushion.